chapter 3 of business environment. Last day we have discussed topic number 1, topic number 2 and topic number 3. Now today I shall try to explain topic number 4. This is a bigger topic, it will require too much time. So topic number 4 is economic environment in India. Here we have to discuss 6 factors, 4 objectives and 6 features of new industrial policy. After that we shall discuss the concept of LPG, that means liberalization, privatization and globalization. Their meaning and features will be discussed. So this will be the topic today, and remember topic number 5 and 6 are not now in syllabus. They have been removed from syllabus for this year, only 2021. So topic number 4 I am starting. Okay. Now topic number 4 is economic environment in India. Its changing profile. First of all, the economic environment in India has been steadily changing, mainly due to government policies. That means the government of India has been making different types of economic policies, different types of industrial policies from time to time, and due to such policies the economic environment in India has been steadily changing from time to time. These features of change in environment are explained one by one in the following manner. Number A, at the time of independence, Indian economy had the following features. That means when our country became independent in 1947, at that time our economy has following 5 features. These were the features of economic environment at the time of independence. Number 1, agricultural and rural economy. The economy of our country was mainly agricultural and rural. That means there was less development of towns, cities and industries. Agriculture was only there, industry was developed to a little extent. There was lack of industrial development, and the economy was rural. That means development of towns and cities was not also too much. Most of the population live in rural areas. So agricultural and rural economy. Second, irrational and low productive technology. The technology used in agriculture and also in industry was very old, very irrational. Due to that, its productivity was low. Productivity means the ratio of output and input. That means by introducing too much input, the output was less. So output was not according to input due to low technology, low productive technology and irrational, outdated and old technology. So this was the second feature. Third, 70% of population employed in agriculture. That means out of the total population, 70% was engaged in agriculture. Though population was not too high as it is today, it was around 36-40 crore. Out of that, 70% was engaged in agriculture and only 30% was engaged in industrial activities like trade, commerce, etc. Then number 4 point is 85% of population was living in villages. At that time I told you that the economy was rural, so there was less development of cities and towns. So 85% of population was living in villages, not in towns. Only 15% population was used to live in towns and cities, big cities. So this was the 4 feature of economic environment in India at time of independence. Last one, lack of good health, good sanitation and widespread communicable diseases. At that time the health and sanitation system was not good. There was lack of good health and good sanitation system and due to which there was a widespread communicable diseases. That means country was facing many types of diseases at that time. So these are the 5 features of Indian economy or economic environment of India at the time of independence. Now to solve these problems, that means the economy was facing many problems. To solve these problems, to solve the economic problem, development plans were made for the following. At that time, that means after independence, the government tried to solve the economic problem. And to solve such problem, the government took the following steps. That means following plans were made for the following purposes. Development plans were made for the following objectives or purposes. Number 1, rapid economic growth to solve the problem of unemployment and poverty. At that time, there was unemployment and there was poverty. To remove that unemployment and poverty problem, the government tried to make rapid economic growth. That means rapid industrialization, development of more and more industries, commerce, trade, etc., so as to solve the problem of unemployment and problem of poverty. This was the first development plan. Second, self-reliance and strong industrial base. At that time, our industrial base was not so strong and we were not self-reliant. So to make ourselves self-reliance and to make our industrial base strong, there was emphasis on the establishment of basic, heavy and key industries to make the industrial base strong. So this was the second objective. Then reduce inequality of income and wealth. At that time, there was a big gap between rich and poor. That means there was an inequality of income and wealth. Some people were earning too much income, some were earning too less income. Some people were very rich, that means wealthy, and some others were very poor. So there was an inequality. That means income and wealth were not equally distributed. To reduce that inequality was the objective of the government at that time. Then adopt a socialistic pattern of development. That means to adopt system of mixed economy. At that time, the economy was not fully mixed economy. So government of India tried to adopt a system of mixed economy. Why? To adopt a socialistic pattern of development. So these were some objectives of development plans which were made at the time of independence to solve the above 5 problems of the Indian economy at the time of independence. Now the major changes took place in the year 1991. So number C is, in 1991 the government announced the new industrial policy with the following features. Before 1991 there was no fixed industrial policy, but in the year 1991 the government has announced a new economic policy or new industrial policy, and the features of such policy were as follows. These were the 6 features of new industrial policy or new economic policy. Number 1, reducing the number of industries under compulsory licensing to 6 only. That means before this industrial policy 1991, industries were required to take license to start their business, to start their production. But in 1991 the government has abolished this system. That means at that time only 6 industries were left which requires trade license or licensing for production. Others were made free. That means without license industries could start business after 1991 except 6 industries. Then number 2, de-reservation of industries under public sector to 4 strategic industries only. Before this policy, many industries were in public sector, but in 1991 government only left 4 industries under public sector and other industries were allowed to remain in the private sector. That means private sector was allowed to enter into such industrial sector except the 4. What are these 4? First was railways, second was post and telegraph, third was defense, and fourth was atomic energy. So except these 4 strategic industries, all were opened for private sector. Only these 4 were kept in public sector. This was the second. Third, disinvestment in many PSUs. Here PSUs means public sector undertaking. Disinvestment means selling of the shares of public sector undertaking. So government tried to sell the shares, that means equity of PSUs in the hands of private people or in the hands of private sector. This is known as disinvestment. Okay. Then fourth number was liberalization of policy towards foreign capital. Earlier foreign capital was not allowed to be invested in our country, but after 1991 it became easy to invite foreign capital into the industrial economy. So it was the policy regarding foreign capital was liberalized, that means made easy. Then 5, setting up foreign investment promotion board. The government of India at that time established a board, FIBP, that is foreign investment promotion board. That means to invite the foreign investors, a board was set up. The objective of setting up board was to help to guide the foreign investors to make investment in our country, in our economy. And the last number 6 was policy of LPG. The full form of LPG is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So there was a new policy in the year 1991, that is called LPG. Now we are going to discuss these three: LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now, first of all, liberalization. Number D, liberalization. It refers to release of business and industry from all unnecessary restrictions and control. That means before 1991, the industries were under different restrictions and control. That means government had strict controls and restrictions on industrial activities. But according to the policy of liberalization, the government has made it easy. That means unnecessary restrictions and unnecessary controls were removed. So it is the end of license, permit and quota raj. That means license was not required in most of the cases, permit was not required in most of the cases, and quota was not fixed. Quota here means quantity. Quantity was not fixed in many cases. So it is the end of license, permit and quota raj. That is called liberalization. Liberalization has taken place with the following. That means these are the areas where liberalization policy has taken place. Number 1, abolishing licensing requirements except a few. That means licensing of industries was removed except a few industries. That means except few industries, most of the industries were made free. Without license they can start production, they could start production. Number 2, freedom in expansion and contraction. That means any business enterprise, any industrial undertaking can expand its activities or can contract its activities. So this was freedom in expansion and contraction. Expansion means increase, contraction means decrease. Then removal of restrictions on movement of goods and services. Earlier goods and services were not allowed to move freely from one state to another or from one country to other. But under the policy of liberalization, there was no restriction. That means restrictions were removed on the movement of goods from one state to other state, from one region to other region and from one country to other country. Then number 4, freedom in price fixation by private sector enterprises. Earlier the private sector enterprises were not free to fix their own price for their own goods and services. But under the policy of liberalization, these private sector enterprises were given freedom to fix their own price for their own goods and services which are sold by them. Then reduction in the tax rate. Previously there was a high rate of tax in case of companies. Corporate taxation means taxation of companies, corporations. So there was a high rate. Sometimes it was 50% of the profit. That means companies had to pay 50% of their profit to the government in the form of corporate tax. But it was reduced under the policy of liberalization. Now it is around 35-40%. Then simplification of import and export procedure. Previously the procedure of importing goods from a foreign country and procedure of exporting goods to a foreign country was a very complicated process. That means very difficult process. Too many formalities, too many documents, too many requirements, too many port formalities, customs formalities were required. But at present these are made simple. That means import procedure and export procedures are made simple under the policy of liberalization. And last one, easier foreign capital and technology. Now it is very easy to invite foreign capital and foreign technology, which was not easy earlier before 1991. So these are the areas where liberalization policy can be introduced or was introduced. Now number E, privatization. Privatization refers to giving greater role to private sector and reduce role to public sector. That means it is the policy of giving more freedom to private sector and less freedom, less role to the public sector. Earlier, before this privatization, public sector was playing the major role and private sector role was limited. But now private sector is playing the major role and public sector role is limited. It involves induction of private ownership, private management and private control in public sector enterprises. That means at present, in public sector enterprises, there is induction of private ownership, private sector ownership, private management and control by private sector in many public sector enterprises. So it consists of, it means privatization consists of first denationalization. It is the transfer of ownership of government enterprises to private sector. As I told you few minutes ago, denationalization means opposite of nationalization. In the year 1960 to 1970, there was a tendency of nationalization. 14 commercial banks were nationalized by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and 6 banks were more nationalized in 1980. So that was the process of nationalization, means taking the private enterprises under the government's hands. But now this is the reverse, opposite, denationalization. That means making the public sector, converting the public sector into private sector. So it is the transfer of ownership of private of public sector enterprises, government enterprises to public sector. So this is the first point under privatization. Then disinvestment. This is the dilution of government equity in public sector undertaking. That means selling of public sector undertaking shares to private sector or to private people. So this is the disinvestment. Third one is entry of private sector in the areas of public sector like banking, insurance, etc. Previously, the banking area, banking sector, insurance sector, these were only reserved for government. That means all banks were in the hands of government in public sector and all insurance company. Only 2 insurance companies were there at that time, LIC and GIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India and General Insurance Corporation of India. But at present, there are many private banks and there are around 50 private insurance companies operating in India. So the area where public sector was dominating, this area is opened to private sector. That means banking, insurance and other areas. So this is private sector, privatization. Then transfer of management and control of PSUs to private sector. That means there are certain PSUs, public sector undertakings, which were not operating properly, not working profitably. Their management and control were given to private sector to manage them. And the last one, no fresh budgetary support to public sector. That means public sector was not given any more fresh budgetary support. Earlier, there was a provision in every year's budget to provide for, to make support to public sector. But now there is no fresh budgetary support to public sector. So this is the concept of privatization. Now the third one is globalization. Globalization means going global. That means internationalization. It refers to integrating the economy of country with the world economy. That means our country is going to be integrated with the world economy. Literally, globalization means to make global or worldwide. That means when we go global or worldwide, we can say that globalization is taking place. It implies having the world as a one market. That means the whole world is assumed as one market. A truly globalized economy is that where there is. That means in a truly globalized economy, we have free flow of goods and service across the nations. That means goods and services are bought and sold across the nations. That means between 2 or more nations. Flow of capital across the nation. That means capital is also flowing across the nation. That means capital can be invested from any country to any other country by the investor of any country in the business of other country. Flow of information and technology worldwide. That means information and technology can flow from one country to another. It can move worldwide. Number 4, movement of people across border. That means people can go for work, for earning from any place to any other place in the world. So movement of people across border. Then common acceptable mechanism for settlement. Settlement here means payment. Whenever there is buying and selling between 2 or more countries, there must be a common acceptable mechanism for settlement of transaction. So this is the feature of globalized economy. A global governance perspective, that means there must be some agency, there must be some authority which can govern the global economy. So a global governance perspective is there, should be there. Global outlook in manufacturing, marketing and financing, that means manufacturing, marketing and financing, these three has been made globalized. Manufacturing is not done for the use in the home country, this is done for the use in the whole world. Similarly, marketing is done worldwide and financing is done worldwide, that means from any corner of the world anybody can take financial help. And the last one, no difference between domestic and foreign market, that means there is no difference. Domestic and foreign market has merged, have merged and become the single market. So whole world has become the one market. There is no difference between domestic market and foreign market. So these are the features of globalization. Now after that, topic number 5, that is demonetization, and topic number 6, impact of government policy changes on economy, that means impact of changes in the government policy on business and industry. These two topics, number 5 and number 6, they are not now in your syllabus, they have been removed, so I am not discussing them. Now some questions are given, short answer question 3-4 marks, 10 questions, and long answer question 5 questions. So try to find the answers of this question. If you face any problem, contact me. Thank you.